Thank you, Madam Chair. It's Mary Bonser.
Sorry.
I'm a 12-year selectman from the town of Nottingham. And I have a Columbine survivor pens bold open letter to Obama rejecting gun control, which I would like to read into the record. Columbine school shooting survivor Evan Todd, who was 15 in 1995 when he was shot, released an open letter to President Barack Obama on Wednesday in which he offers a point-by-point analysis of proposed firearms control initiatives, dismissing them as ineffective and dangerous to Americans' rights. In it, he asked the President, whose side are you on? Mr. President, as a student who was shot and wounded during the Columbine massacre, I have a few thoughts on the current gun debate in regard to your gun control initiatives. Excuse me. Universal background checks. First, a universal background check will have many devastating effects. It will arguably have the opposite impact of what you propose. If adopted, criminals will know that they cannot pass a background check legally, so they will resort to other avenues. With the conditions being set by this initiative, it will create a large black market for weapons and will support more criminal activity and funnel additional money into the hands of thugs, criminals, and people who will do harm to American citizens. Second, universal background checks will create huge bureaucracy that will cost an enormous amount of taxpayer dollars and will straddle us with more debt. We cannot afford it now, let alone create another function of government that will have a huge monthly bill.
Excuse me, dear. Are you on House Bill 609, the school bill?
Yes, I am, because he was shot at a school shooting. This young man has every right to speak up about what he thinks should be done, and that's what I'm reading.
Okay.
Third is a universal background check system possible without universal gun registration? If so, please define it for us. Universal registration can easily be used for universal confiscation. I am not at all implying that you, sir, would try such a measure, but we do need to think about our actions through the lens of time. It is not impossible to think that a tyrant like the likes of Mao, Castro, Che, Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, and others could possibly rise to power in America. It could be 5, 10, 20, or 100 years from now, but future generations have the natural right to protect themselves from tyrannical governments just as much as we currently do. It is safe to assume that this liberty that our forefathers secured has been a thorn in the side of would-be tyrants ever since the Second Amendment was adopted. Ban on military-style assault weapons. The evidence is very clear pertaining to the inadequacies of the assault weapons ban. It had little to no effect when it was in place from 1994 until 2004. It was during this time that I personally witnessed 2 fellow students murder 12 of my classmates and 1 teacher. The assault weapon ban did not deter these 2 murderers, nor did the other 30-something laws that they broke. Gun ownership is at an all-time high, and although tragedies like Columbine and Newtown are exploited by ideologues and special interest lobbying groups, crime is at an all-time low. The people have spoken. Gun store shelves have been emptied. Gun shows are breaking attendance records. Gun manufacturers are sold out and back-ordered. Shortages on ammo and firearms are countrywide. The American people have spoken and are telling you that our Second Amendment shall not be infringed. Excuse me. Round limit for magazines. Virginia Tech was the site of the deadliest school shooting in U.S. history. Sun Ho Cho used 2 of the smallest caliber handguns manufactured and a handful of 10-round magazines. There are no substantial facts that prove that limited magazines would make any difference at all. Second, this is just another law that endangers law-abiding citizens. I've heard you ask, why does someone need 30 bullets to kill a deer? Let me ask you this, why would you prefer criminals to have the ability to outgun law-abiding citizens? Under this policy, criminals will still have their 30-round magazines, but the average American will not. Whose side are you on, Mr. President? Lastly, when did the government get into the business of regulating needs? This is yet another example of government overreaching and straying from its intended purpose. Selling to criminals. Mr. President, these are your words. And finally, Congress needs to help rather than hinder law enforcement as it does its job. We should get tougher on people who buy guns with the express purpose of turning around and selling them to criminals, and we should severely punish anybody who helps them do this. Why don't we start with Eric Holder and thoroughly investigate the Fast and Furious program? Guess that's a little political. Furthermore, the vast majority of these mass murderers bought their weapons legally and jumped through all the hoops because they were determined to murder. Adding more hoops and red tape will not stop these types of people. It doesn't now. So what makes you think it will in the future? Criminals who cannot buy guns legally just resort to the black market. Criminals and murderers will always find a way. Critical examination. Mr. President, in theory, your initiatives and proposals sound warm and fuzzy, but in reality, they are far from what we need. Your initiatives seem to punish law-abiding American citizens and enable the murderers, thugs, and other lowlifes who wish to do harm to others. Let me be clear, these ideas are the worst possible initiatives if you seriously care about saving lives and also upholding your oath of office. There is no dictate, law, or regulation that will stop bad things from happening, and you know that. Yet you continue to push the rhetoric. Why? You said if we can just save one person, it is worth it. Well, here are a few ideas that will save more than one individual. First, forget all of your current initiatives and 23 proposed executive orders. They will do nothing more than impede law-abiding citizens and breach the intent of the Constitution. Each initiative steals freedom, grants more power to an already overreaching government, and empowers and enables criminals to run amok. Second, press Congress to repeal the Gun-Free Zone Act. Don't allow American teachers and students to be endangered one more day. These parents and teachers have the natural right to defend themselves and not be looked at as criminals. There is no reason teachers must disarm themselves to perform their jobs. There is also no reason a parent or volunteer should be disarmed when they cross the school line.
The sponsor, your 3 minutes are up there.
I've only got a couple more comments.
It's okay.
This is your chance to correct history and restore liberty. This simple act of restoring freedom will deter murderers, and for those who try, they will be met with resistance. Mr. President, do the right thing, restore freedom, and save lives. Show the American people that you stand with them and not with the thugs and criminals. Respectfully, severely concerned citizen Evan M. Todd. I have to echo Evan Todd's question. Whose side are you on? Just a couple of my own observations. Teachers, you may not know this, are arming themselves right now. They are doing this at their own peril for prosecution. To protect their children, they would rather be judged by 12 than have their children harmed. Our teachers are responsible enough to care and protect in the event of a fire or any other emergency. Do not tie their hands or make them criminals for doing what they should be doing. All we need is to make public that if there's a possibility that a teacher may have a gun. And as far as some student getting a hold of a gun, they have great lock boxes now that open with a fingerprint and no other way, so that could be in the schoolrooms. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the lady? Seeing none, thank you. I would